Okay, so let's start off with Premiere. So I'm just going to do File and New and Project. And I'll just leave it as entitled. It wants to overwrite. I'm fine with that. Okay. Now I could do File and Import and go find that. But I tend to like to just drag and drop because it's pretty easy. So I'm just going to drag and drop that right there. Okay, and then I'm just going to drag and drop this down into the timeline, and now we can see we've got some reference footage. And so this could be of a basic action on animating that, or it could be a more complex scene, for example, with acting performances and so forth. For this, though, I want you guys to know the technicalities, so let's go ahead and step through that. So I'm going to do File, and I'm going to go to Export and Media, or you can see here is the shortcut. You can do Control-M. Once in here, I just want to make sure that the format is set to TIFF, because Maya does like TIFFs. And then here's the trick for this. To get this named in a way that Maya likes, what I want you to do is we're going to click on this, and we can navigate to where we want this, and I've got it in a good place. But what I need to do is need to do reference reel, or whatever the name you want, and do dot, or period, and then do TIFF. Okay? And the reason we want to add 2 dots is because it will put our frame numbers in between those 2 dots. And so that's kind of how you set that up. And now you can see I've got reference reel, and then period, and then TIFF. All right, cool. So once I've got all this set up, I'm going to do Export, and that will write out an image sequence for me. And so now if I come over here, now you can see, right, reference reel dot, and I've got the numbers, and we don't have the dot tip in here. That's just in its properties. We could probably expose that, but it's a TIFF file. And so yeah, this is worked, and it's been written out in a format that Maya will like. Okay, let me show you how to do that. So I'll make sure we got another place for After Effects to write things. So I'm going to show you another way to do this. So if you're in After Effects, you can do the same thing. Again, we could do File and Import and go find that file, but I'm just going to drag and drop. So from here, I'm going to drag and drop the footage. The other thing, let me back up and show this one more time. If I'm in Effects and I try to drag and drop, you'll notice it won't do it. So you need to just make sure that you're in the project. Okay, you can be in Effects or Project. Just make sure that you're in Project, and then you can drag and drop that in there pretty easily. Cool. Okay, and then I'm just going to drag and drop this out into our window. And then from here, as you can see, if I click in these different windows, you'll see that this little blue box goes with it. You just want to make sure that you're clicked down here and that there's a blue box around this down here. And then from here, you can go to Composition, Add to Render Queue, or again, you can see that there is a shortcut for that. Okay, I'm going to click on Lossless on the format. I'm going to change that to TIFF sequence, and OK. I'm going to click on this. Here's a little gotcha. Okay, so first off, I'm going to navigate where I want it to go. Okay, and if you see right here, reference reel underscore, Maya doesn't like underscores. Now, technically, I haven't tried this in 2020, but I doubt this has been changed because it's been like this for years. So what you need to do is you need to get rid of that underscore and put a period right there. So reference reel period, and then the brackets and all those pound signs. And then just click Save. And there we go. So TIFF sequence, change that, and we also navigated and told it where we wanted to go. And we're just going to click Render. All right, cool. And so from there, we can see we've got the same sort of thing that we do in Premiere. Okay, so let's look at either one of these would be fine to load up in Maya. Not this, but the image sequence. So I'm going to use the one that we did in Premiere. So I'm going to jump in here. For the bat, I will also have this available on Blackboard. I'll upload this into the animation planning folder so that you'll have access to this. So if you want to do this and follow along, again, this isn't an assignment, so it's not required, but if you want to do this and follow along, you absolutely can. So I'll upload that in there just in case you want it. Okay, so from here, we want to go ahead and set up that reference so that we can, as we animate him, we have that reference playing somewhere in here. So what I'm going to do, so if I hold the space bar and then right click, I can go to left view. Okay, there's multiple ways to get there. I can go to space, just click the space bar, go to this side view. This would actually be my right view, but you could do it that way too. Or you could come up here and go to panels, orthographic, and left view. So no matter how you get there, we just want to go to our left view. Okay. Okay. So from here, let's go to view, down to image plane, and over to import image. Okay. And then we want to go and navigate. So I'm just going to click into this folder and click up here. I'm just going to copy this file path. Instead of clicking through all that, I can just paste that file path up here. Okay. So either way, once you've navigated to your image sequence, all you want to do is just click on the very first image and click over. Okay. And now I'm going to come back to my main perspective view. And you could be like, where is it? Well, it's actually way off over there in the distance. So I'm just going to turn on or click the image plane and then turn on my move tool. And one thing you'll notice is it's just really far out there. Now keep in mind, plus and minus shrinks your move tool. So I really want to grab just the arrow that's pointing off into the distance. Problem is, if it's small like that, it would be hard to select. So you want something kind of like that. So you can just grab just this little arrow and then just kind of pull it in a little closer to your guy. And yeah, so now technically we probably could have done this from the front too, because I think I want to move it from behind him. So we could have done it from our front view, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and scale this up. I'm going to move this back a little bit, and then I'm just going to rotate it. And if you remember, if you hold J as in jack down, you can snap rotate this just to get it perfect. And you can see the rotate Y is 0. Cool. And so from here, I'm just going to move this over here and just make it a little bit bigger. Maybe move it off to the side there. Okay. Cool. So this is going to give me some reference as I begin to animate this guy. I can come back here and look at the reference. But if I drag in the time slider, you'll notice that really it's just a picture. So we need to turn this into footage. And so with the image plane 1 selected, if we come over to the attribute editor, we want to make sure that we're on our image plane shape, not just the image plane, but the shape tab. And if we come down here, we'll see a little box called use image sequence. And if we would have had an underscore here, it would have caused problems. But at this point, this should work. So if I click and drag, we should see that we have some footage. And so it looks like it kind of stops around there. So 152. So I'll just change that to 152. Maybe that one as well, 152. Cool. All right, cool. And so at this point, we now have our reference footage loaded, and we are ready to begin blocking out our primary key pose in our animation.